Welcome back to my channel, friends. Today we will be talking about the four compartments of the mind and how they interact to create our personality, and how do we get control our thought process to create a better character, a better personality. Now, all the teachings that you're going to hear over the next 10 minutes will be centered around the ancient Indian philosophy comprising the Bhagvati Geeta and the Upanishads. So, starting with the mind, there's a beautiful quote that tells us what the whole body, mind being a part of it, is constituted of by the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. The shloka in Bhagavad Gita goes as bhūmir nalo vāyuḥ kham mano buddhi revcha Ahmkara itiyam me bhinna prakriti rashtadha, which basically means that the body is composed of fire, earth, air, water, ether. Those are the five elements in different composition creating the body. And then there's three other elements which are manas, buddhi, ahamkara, that creates the mind, if you will. Now let's understand where's the fourth one on top of that, which is Chitta, which is a constellation of manas activities. Now let me further elucidate the mind portion of it. So four compartments of the mind. We can think of it as the different portions that are present in the brain that are responsible for creating action in a certain way. So, the first one, as I said earlier, is manas. Now, manas is the most active of the four compartments of the brain. Manas is generating all the thoughts. The second one is Chitta. Chitta you can think of as the subconscious. Third one is Buddhi, or the delineating intellect. The fourth one is the Ahmkara, or the false ego. Now, the best analogy that I can create to understand all these components of brain and how they interact is to understand the state of the ocean in a high tide situation. So think of it as the moon, and the gravitational pull of the moon is creating lots of different waves. These waves are not going to last forever, but they come under the influence of the stimulus, which is the high tide created by the moon. So these are representing our manas, because these are the active thoughts that come up spontaneously or when triggered by an external trigger. It can be someone who is violent towards you, who is loving towards you, which creates a manas of anger, a manas of compassion, love, things like that. So manas is the spontaneous generation of thoughts. Now, these can be called Vritti Waves, or the waves that are bubbling up on the surface of the ocean. So this ocean represents the repository of thoughts that have collected by constant thinking and internalization in manas. So if there's a thought that comes to our mind repeatedly and we let it affect us and ingrain us and identify with the thought process, it becomes a subconscious thought, a subconscious reflex. That is why certain people will react a certain way when they are forced, say they are startled in a certain way, they just jump up because they have been very jumpy because of their past experiences. Some people might not get afraid at all and they just continue with whatever they are doing. So it all depends on what thoughts they allow to identify with and become a part of themselves. So this is Chitta, and this is obviously manas. So Chitta, the beauty is they kind of feed back on each other. Thoughts that come out from the Chitta become the Vritti Waves of Manas, and the Manas thoughts that the body identifies itself with, those will be a part of Chitta, or the subconscious thought process. Now, how do we determine what thought process goes and forms a wave, or samskara as they call it for Chitta? Chitta is like samskara, collection of your attitude, your personality over a period of life or multiple lives, depending on what your belief process is. So Chitta thoughts will become Vritti waves when you allow the capacitor of Buddhi, or delineating intellect, to act on. So Buddhi is basically the thalamus or the relay center of the brain saying, okay, this thought came to the neocortex, I will take it down into the hippocampus and amygdala because I feel strongly that I believe in it. So the Buddhi makes you feel, allows you to perceive and maybe talk about it or act on it. And that's why we say when you have a bad thought that comes to your mind, and if the Buddhi lets you snap out, then you can speak it out. You can speak your mind and it creates a bad speech. If you're angry, you might say things which are you're going to repent later, or even act on it, like impulses where people have shot themselves or jumped from the bridge and then they kind of repent for whatever few seconds of life they were left with, because you might have heard people say instantly the moment I jumped from the bridge, I was totally devastated that I should not have done it, but there's no going back at that point. So that's what Buddhi does. It's the capacitor that determines what thoughts we will let our senses and our motor nervous system act on. Now the last one is Ahmkara, or the false ego. Now this one is something which we identify ourselves with, like the I-ness or the my-ness. This is me, this is mine. You might have 4 brothers and you want to identify yourself different from them. So that's where Ahmkara kicks in, because you want to distinguish 2 things as different. And when the ego climbs and builds upon itself, it can create delusion. So we want to have manas generate good beliefs, because good beliefs leads to better visualization and better actions. We don't want Ahmkara to act and create delusion, because that's what happens when you constantly let yourself believe that you do not you're superior to somebody, or you're better than someone. You are better than most of us. You are the best that the world could have. What a pleasure you have been for being around in this world. So all those feelings, those are Ahmkara. Now, the most important thing is to know that to culture the thoughts in the right direction, you have to let them affect you. You have to internalize and identify with those thoughts. And that's something which you can do by repetition, by saying it aloud, which is the vocal affirmation, like I believe in it, I will go there and I will win the race. I will go there and I will do this job. When you say it, you have taken the first step towards attainment of that role, because that's what speech does. You have thought followed by speech followed by action. So the moment you do the T of it, the thought of it, you have created a belief that you are going to attain the final result, which is action of karma. Now why is it that important? Because karma, which is the repository of everything that we have done in our past lives, and Chitta, which is the repository of thoughts. These are 2 things that we will carry forward in our next lives. And at the moment of dying, we should make sure we should not have any regrets or remorse about things that we did not do, the good karma that we intended to do, that was somehow in the subconscious Chitta, but never acted upon, due to which we will come back to live a second life, another life, to make them manifest. And at the same time, we should not have things, the remorse and regret of delusion or Ahmkara, believing ourselves to be better or doing things out of delusion to gratify the senses, which will come back to bite us as a bad karma. So the doctrine of karma says, whatever you do will be paid back later, and Gita tells you that do the things as RFA, renunciation of fruitive activities. Do the good things in the name of the Almighty, but do not expect to reap the benefits. The key word is not to expect when you do the good. The very moment you expect something, you're killing the goodness that you have done there. So to sum it up, 4 compartments of brain are manas, which is the active thought process generated by the neocortex, the subconscious or the hippocampal area of the brain, that is the primitive urges, biological urges are stored because of constant thought process through multiple lives or even this life. The buddhi, which is the thalamus or the relay center that allows the thoughts to cross from manas to chitta and back and forth, and ahamkara or your delusion center, which makes you feel you are better and bigger than others. So it's very important to cultivate good beliefs based on activation of good thoughts and manas and letting them sink into your chitta to improve your personality. Hope you liked the video. Please leave your comments below. Thank you.